The cold metal walls of Endurance shuddered as Nathan Price gripped the edge of the command console, eyes fixed on the dark expanse of space. His gaze didn't stray from Earth's broken silhouette, the planet, now a shadow of its former self. A scarred ball of dust in ruin, spinning slowly beneath the immense weight of alien oppression. A soft chime interrupted the silence. Nathan straightened, his military instincts kicking in. A transmission, flagged with high priority. The screen blinked to life, displaying a faceless hologram, an emblem of the Galactic Council. He didn't need to be told what it meant. The Council had been in shambles for decades, fighting each other, failing to protect anything. Humanity had become their last hope. This is Endurance. Proceed. Nathan's voice was steady, but his pulse quickened. The projection flickered, and a voice came through, a female officer, her expression unreadable. Captain Price, we've received a transmission from the Xai'n Empire. A probe, it's en route to Earth. It's not a recon mission, Nathan. It's a declaration. Nathan's heart skipped a beat. He already knew what that meant. What kind of declaration? The officer hesitated, then said, We don't have confirmation yet, but the probe is heading straight for Earth. There's something inside of it, a message, but it's encrypted. We think it's a warning. Nathan's hand clenched into a fist. They were coming. Again, they never stopped. Understood. He muttered, already moving toward the ship's control panel, his mind racing through every tactical scenario. Prepare the defense grids. I'll be ready for whatever this is. The officer's voice crackled through the speaker. No, Captain. This is different. The Council has ordered a full quarantine. No ships leave, no one enters or exits Earth's orbit. The Xai'n have made their move. We need to ensure no one else knows what they've sent. A chill ran down Nathan's spine. This was it. The Xai'n had always been methodical, calculating. Everything had led to this moment. But why now? What were they after? Before he could respond, the station's alarms blared, shaking the entire command room. Captain, they're here, came the voice of Lieutenant Harrow, his voice tinged with panic. Nathan's instincts kicked in. He slammed his fist on the comm. What's happening? Sir, we're picking up unusual readings. There's something huge heading for the station. I don't know how to explain it. Another explosion rocked the station, the floor beneath Nathan's feet giving way for a split second. Red lights flashed, and the hum of the station's failing power systems rang in his ears. Get to the weapons deck. Now! Nathan barked, already moving toward the command bay doors. He didn't wait for a response. The metallic door hissed open, and Nathan sprinted down the dimly lit corridors of the Endurance, his boots pounding against the cold metal. His mind raced. Was this a preemptive strike? Or had the Council's transmission been a diversion, a cover-up for something else? The air felt thick with tension. Captain, we've got incoming. Harrow's voice crackled over the comm. We've detected massive energy signatures. It's not like anything we've seen before. Nathan's jaw tightened. Understood. Arm all defenses. Keep me updated. As he reached the weapons deck, he saw his crew scrambling, sweat beading on their brows, faces lit by the flickering glow of console screens. Every member of the crew knew what was at stake. Captain, you need to see this. Harrow's voice came again, more urgent this time. Nathan approached the central console. Harrow stood frozen, staring at the screen. A massive object appeared in orbit, a dark, indistinct shape surrounded by a cloud of energy. As the image zoomed in, it became clear. The probe was a massive ship, dark and jagged, as if designed to invoke terror. Its surface was sleek, almost too perfect, reflecting the coldness of the void it occupied. But there was something off about it. The way it moved, the subtle fluctuations in its energy signature. It's a trap, Nathan muttered. That's not just a probe. It's a weapon. As if to confirm his thoughts, the entire station shuddered again, more violent this time. Sparks flew from the ceiling, and the alarms wailed louder than before. The crew rushed to stabilize their positions, but it was clear that Endurance was already under attack. A hail of bright red laser fire rained down from the probe, cutting through the station's hull with ease. A high-pitched screech filled the air as metal screamed under pressure. "Get us out of here!" Nathan shouted. "We need to return fire, now!" He moved to the helm, his hands flying over the controls, but another explosion rattled the station, throwing him to the ground. The lights flickered out. "Damn it," Nathan thought, gritting his teeth. It was too late. Through the broken windows of the command bay, he saw it, the probe, now fully powered, sending out waves of distorted energy. It was as if the universe itself were bending around it. His heart sank. This wasn't just an attack, it was something far worse. The alien empire wasn't just here to conquer. They were sending a message. And Earth was going to be their canvas. "Sir, we've got a direct hit to the core reactor. We're losing power." Harrow's voice was strained, panic setting in. Nathan was already up, scrambling to his feet. He had to act. Now star. Activate the emergency thrusters. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. His voice was cold, but every word carried the weight of the lives depending on him. His eyes were hard, unblinking. "We can't afford to die here." A series of explosions erupted along the station's hull. The lights flickered once more, and the station's defense systems were reduced to nothing but a faint whisper against the sheer power of the alien assault. Nathan's gaze hardened. If they wanted a fight, they would get one. "To all crew members," Nathan's voice rang out over the intercom. "This is Captain Price. We're not going down without a fight. Power up every weapon we have. Endurance fights, * we fight *. The crew responded in unison, a chorus of resolve echoing back to him. In the midst of all the chaos, Nathan felt the first real sense of hope. They weren't dead yet. Not if he could help it. But in the distance, the alien probe was growing closer, and its message was clear: humanity's time was running out. And it was only just beginning. The air inside the Endurance felt suffocating. Nathan Price stood at the helm, staring out into the blackness of space. The battle had reached a terrifying new level. The alien probe, now fully activated, had driven the Endurance into a desperate fight for survival. The crew had managed to stabilize the station temporarily, but the cost had been steep. Power was running low, and the systems that had been their lifeline just hours ago were now barely functional. "Captain, we've lost contact with the outer defense grid." Harrow's voice crackled through the comm. His tone was tight, but there was no hint of panic. Nathan had come to rely on Harrow's unshakable resolve in moments like this. "Explain," Nathan demanded, his voice steady but filled with tension. "It's like the probe is blocking our signals. We can't get a clear reading on anything outside the station. We've got nothing." Nathan's jaw tightened. The enemy wasn't just attacking, they were trying to suffocate them, cut off any chance of retaliation. This was no ordinary assault. "Cut through the interference," Nathan ordered, his voice hard. "Focus everything we have on that probe. We can't let them dictate the pace of this battle." Harrow's response was a sharp nod, even though Nathan couldn't see it. The young lieutenant had been with him since the early days of Endurance's creation, and there was no doubt in Nathan's mind that Harrow would do everything in his power to follow through. The question was whether it would be enough. As the ship shuddered again, Nathan glanced around the command deck. Crew members worked furiously at their stations, their faces lit by the dim glow of malfunctioning panels. Each explosion, each strike of alien fire against their hull, was another reminder of how close they were to being overwhelmed. Suddenly, a loud explosion from above sent sparks flying, and the station's alarms blared once more. "Report!" Nathan barked. "We've been hit on the port side. Hull integrity is compromised. Airlocks are failing." The voice of Lieutenant Garza came through, strained but focused. Nathan's heart pounded in his chest. "How long until we lose pressure?" "Maybe an hour, but the fire suppression system is offline. We can't contain the damage." The reality of their situation was sinking in fast. They were running out of time and options. They needed answers, and they needed them now. The probe wasn't just a weapon, it was a message. Nathan had no doubt that the Xai'n Empire was watching them, waiting for the final move. Captain? Harrow's voice sounded distant, his breath slightly labored. Nathan turned to see him standing at the edge of the command deck, looking over a series of encrypted data transmissions. I think we've cracked part of their code. Tell me everything, Nathan said, crossing the room in a few strides. It's an archive. Not a message, but a file. It's embedded deep within the probe's systems, hidden behind multiple layers of encryption. What we're dealing with is a warning, but also something more personal. Nathan's gut tightened. Personal? Personal how? Harrow hesitated, fingers tapping at the console. It's about Earth. Or, more specifically, about humanity. It's like a record, a catalog of our interactions with the galaxy, and it's not pretty. The words hung in the air, heavy with implication. Nathan felt the blood drain from his face as the pieces began to click into place. If the Xai'n Empire was gathering data on humanity, if they'd been observing them for this long, then the war wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about something deeper. Something fundamental. Can we access it? Nathan demanded, his voice sharp. We're still working on cracking the final layer. But there's more. Harrow's eyes were locked on the screen, unwilling to look away. There's a list of targets. Targets? Nathan repeated, his voice low, his pulse quickening. Yeah. Earth is on it. But there are other names too. People, places, even systems within the galaxy. A wave of cold dread swept over Nathan. The aliens weren't just fighting for dominance, they were eliminating humanity's future. They had a plan. And it was already in motion. Run it through the AI core. Prioritize any human-related intel. Nathan ordered, his voice a controlled fury. Harrow nodded. On it. A few moments passed in tense silence. The entire crew was on edge, waiting for any new information. Nathan's mind raced, each thought crashing into the next with increasing speed. What if this was all part of a larger plan? The Xai'n had known more about humanity than anyone had realized. They had seen the potential for destruction. They knew Earth's value, its strategic importance. But why were they going so far? Captain, we've got something, Harrow called out, his voice tinged with both awe and fear. Nathan turned toward him, fists clenched. What is it? Harrow's fingers danced across the console, pulling up a series of images and data points on the screen. They flashed in rapid succession, star systems, maps, coordinates. But one image stood out. A dark, distorted rendering of Earth, an Earth covered in craters, its cities reduced to dust. And scattered throughout were words, familiar words. Places. Names. People. Humanity's greatest threat is not its military power, Harrow read aloud, his voice trembling. It's their potential for innovation. Their resourcefulness. The Council was right to be cautious. Nathan's stomach churned. The words made it clear. Humanity was seen as an existential threat. The Xai'n Empire feared what they could become, what they could create. Their survival was not just a matter of politics, it was a matter of control. They're not just trying to destroy us, Nathan whispered, more to himself than to anyone else. They're trying to prevent us from ever becoming what we could be. Captain, Harrow said, his voice breaking the silence. I think we need to get out of here. If they're expecting us to retaliate, we can't win this fight on their terms. Nathan looked at the screen again. The coordinates. They pointed to one place, a place where answers might lie, a place buried deep within the ruins of Earth. We're not leaving, Nathan said with resolve. We're going to fight back. But first, we need to understand what they're really after. We need to hit them where it hurts. His voice carried the weight of everything at stake. Harrow nodded solemnly, but there was something else behind his eyes, a spark of hope. In that moment, they both knew this war had only just begun. The battle had escalated into a chaos Nathan could hardly process. The Endurance was running on fumes, barely holding together after hours of bombardment. The alien probe had found its mark, but the war was far from over. For the first time in months, Nathan allowed himself to think beyond the immediate fight. He needed to shift the momentum in their favor, but it wasn't going to be easy. He stood in the heart of the command deck, eyes scanning the haphazard display of broken consoles and malfunctioning screens. His crew was still moving, still fighting. But every day, every hour, the probability of survival diminished. "Status report," Nathan barked. Lieutenant Harrow looked up from his console, his face tight, pale from the constant stress. "The defense systems are offline. The probe is sending out pulses that scramble everything. We've got no visual on the enemy fleet. It's like they've disappeared." Nathan clenched his jaw. The enemy wasn't disappearing. They were adapting, watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. "We can't just sit here and wait to be picked apart," Nathan said, the sharpness in his voice cutting through the tension. "Find any weak points. We're going to hit them first." Before Harrow could respond, another tremor shook the station, sending sparks skittering across the deck. The lights flickered and then died, leaving the room in darkness, save for the emergency glow that bathed everything in red. "Shit! We're being boarded," Harrow muttered, eyes wide. "They've breached the outer hull." Nathan didn't hesitate. He grabbed a weapon from the nearby armory rack and strapped it to his side. "Seal off the corridors. We make our stand here." With a swift motion, he turned and stormed toward the docking bay, where the bulkhead had been compromised. The sound of alien footsteps echoed through the silent corridors. The air was thick with the smell of burning metal, and the vibrations from the alien ship's hull were felt even through the station's reinforced structure. "Captain," Garza's voice crackled through the comms. "I'm with you. We've got a small unit of Marines ready. We're closing in on the breach." Nathan's hand tightened around the rifle. "Stay alert. Don't underestimate them." The hallway leading to the breach was dark, lit only by the occasional flash of sparks from damaged systems. Each footstep echoed in Nathan's ears, his pulse quickening with every passing second. They were too close now, and the station's weak points were beginning to show. As he neared the breach point, Nathan could hear the unmistakable hum of alien weapons charging, the energy buildup that would precede another devastating strike. He motioned for his squad to stay low. The air was filled with the sickly screech of metal as the outer door collapsed, and the first wave of Xai'n soldiers spilled through, their insect bodies barely visible in the low light. Their mandibles clicked and hissed as they moved with terrifying speed, their weapons aimed directly at Nathan's team. "Open fire!" Nathan shouted. Gunfire erupted, the sharp crack of bullets cutting through the stillness, but the Xai'n were fast. Too fast. They dodged and weaved, almost anticipating the trajectory of the shots before they were fired. Nathan's heart pounded as he took aim and fired, hitting one of the attackers square in the chest. But it wasn't enough. They kept coming. The Endurance shook again, the walls groaning under the strain. Nathan turned and saw the console flicker back to life. Harrow's voice echoed over the comms. "Captain, you need to see this. We've decrypted the full message." Nathan's instincts screamed at him to keep fighting, but he knew this was the moment he'd been waiting for. "Tell me. There's a pattern to their attack. We've been looking at it all wrong. It's not just about Earth. They're after the shipyards, the research stations, everything humanity has built in the past decade. But more importantly, Captain, there's something bigger. They've got access to the Endurance's data core. If they breach it, they'll have everything they need to wipe us out once and for all." Nathan's eyes flickered to the security cameras above him, where a new batch of Xai'n soldiers were pouring in, cutting down the remaining crew. They couldn't afford to lose the data core. It was their last hope. "Seal off the core. Lock it down now," Nathan ordered, his voice hard. He turned to Garza and his Marines. "We're heading to the data core. Move out. Now." The crew fell into formation, moving with precision despite the chaos around them. The halls were a blur of flashes and firefights as they made their way deeper into the station's heart. Every step felt like an eternity. The security doors to the data core loomed ahead. But as they approached, the unmistakable hum of alien technology filled the air. The Xai'n were already inside. No, Nathan muttered. His heart sank. The core was compromised. They reached the final set of doors and Nathan burst through, rifle raised. Inside, the sight was a nightmare. The core room was a mess of glowing cables, sparks, and cracked panels. In the center, an alien figure, tall and imposing, hovered near the control systems, manipulating the data core with terrifying precision. Zhar'kul. Nathan's blood ran cold. The Supreme Overlord himself stood in front of the heart of humanity's last chance. The alien Overlord's insected form shimmered in the dim light, his black exoskeleton gleaming as his mandibles clicked in amusement. "I wondered when you would show up, Captain Price." Zhar'kul's voice was a low, mocking hiss. "But it's too late. You've already lost." Nathan's grip tightened on his weapon, but he didn't fire. Not yet. Zhar'kul wasn't just an enemy. He was a statement. A symbol of everything that had gone wrong. "You're wrong," Nathan said, his voice low but filled with defiance. "We're still here. And we're still fighting." Zhar'kul tilted his head, his eyes glowing with predatory hunger. "Your resistance is futile. The galaxy is mine. And soon Earth will be mine too." Nathan's heart thundered in his chest. It was all coming down to this. "Not today," Nathan growled. He motioned to Garza. "Take the right flank. I'll cover you." The firefight erupted with blinding intensity as Nathan and his team engaged the alien overlord's forces. Zhar'kul, however, wasn't backing down. He launched himself toward Nathan, his claws slashing through the air, narrowly missing his shoulder. Nathan fired his rifle in quick succession, but Zhar'kul was too fast, his movements unnatural, as if he anticipated each shot. With a guttural roar, the Xai'n overlord charged, his form a blur of death. The stakes had never been higher. One misstep, and humanity would be lost. Nathan's only thought now was survival, and vengeance. The battle raged on inside the core room. Nathan's heartbeat hammered in his chest as he ducked behind a shattered console, narrowly avoiding Zhar'kul's claws as they slashed through the air. The Xai'n overlord was a blur of movement, too fast, too unpredictable. Every strike sent a tremor through the floor. The air hummed with the crackling of energy weapons, and the stench of burning metal filled the room. Nathan gritted his teeth. This wasn't just a fight for survival, it was a battle for the future of humanity. If they lost the core, they lost everything. The aliens had already cracked their way into the heart of the station, and without the data core, they'd be left vulnerable. But Nathan wasn't about to let it happen. Not without a fight. "Garza! Take the left flank!" Nathan barked over the din of gunfire. His team was pinned down, but they weren't finished yet. They couldn't be. "We take him down now or we all die." Garza didn't hesitate. His squad moved in formation, suppressing fire as they advanced, forcing Zhar'kul back just a fraction. The Xai'n overlord's glowing eyes narrowed in anger, and with a violent swipe of his claws, he decimated one of the Marines in a single blow, sending the soldier's body crashing into the far wall. Blood spattered across the floor. Nathan's stomach twisted, but he couldn't afford to feel that now. There was no room for emotion, not when humanity's future was on the line. "Price!" Garza shouted, his voice filled with urgency. "We need to end this now. If we don't take him out, the core's done for." Nathan's gaze locked on Zhar'kul, who was standing tall amidst the chaos, reveling in the destruction he'd wrought. The alien overlord was more than just a monster. He was the embodiment of everything humanity had fought against. A cold, calculating force that knew no mercy. But Nathan knew one thing the Xai'n didn't. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology, their firepower, or their numbers. It was their will to fight. And that, no matter how desperate the odds, was something Zhar'kul could never understand. "Enough!" Zhar'kul roared, his voice a guttural growl as he lunged toward Nathan. The alien's speed was unnerving, his form an unholy blur of claws and fury. But Nathan was ready. As Zhar'kul's claws slashed downward, Nathan dove to the side, narrowly avoiding the strike. He rolled onto his feet, weapons raised, and fired. His shots rang out, hitting Zhar'kul's exoskeleton, but the alien was unyielding. The blasts barely slowed him down. Pathetic, Zhar'kul hissed, his mandibles clicking with disdain. He advanced with chilling purpose, each step a testament to his ruthless power. But Nathan wasn't done. Not yet. Garza, now! He shouted, rolling behind another column of debris. With synchronized precision, Garza and the Marines unleashed a volley of fire, not at Zhar'kul, but at the ceiling above them. Sparks rained down, the structure groaning under the strain. The alien overlord, momentarily distracted, looked up, just in time to see the entire overhead support collapse. The Xai'n overlord barely had time to react as massive beams of twisted metal came crashing down on him. With an ear-piercing screech, Zhar'kul staggered backward, his armored body absorbing most of the blow, but not without significant damage. His movement slowed. "Now, Nathan!" Garza shouted. Nathan didn't hesitate. He charged forward, his weapon raised. With every step, his muscles burned with exhaustion, but he ignored it. He had no choice. Zhar'kul had to be stopped here, now. The future of Earth depended on it. He leapt forward, closing the distance between himself and the alien. At the last possible moment, Nathan dove to the ground, sliding under Zhar'kul's massive form. The alien overlord let out a sharp hiss, confused by Nathan's maneuver. Nathan's rifle was aimed directly at Zhar'kul's underbelly. He pulled the trigger. The shot echoed through the room, a clean hit. Zhar'kul's body jerked, and for a moment, the room fell silent, save for the crackle of the data core's failing power. But Zhar'kul wasn't finished yet. The alien's mandibles snapped shut in fury, and with one last desperate surge, he swung his claws down at Nathan. Time slowed. Nathan didn't move. A sudden burst of fire cut through the air, Garza's team. A hail of bullets tore into Zhar'kul's exposed form. The overlord let out a screech of pure rage as he fell, his body hitting the floor with a sickening thud. It was over. Nathan didn't celebrate. He didn't have time. The core was still unstable, and the station was crumbling around them. His team rushed to stabilize the system, but it was clear they were running out of time. The data core was severely damaged, and the entire station was on the brink of total collapse. "Status?" Nathan asked, his voice hoarse. "It's failing, Captain," Harrow replied over the comm, his tone grim. "We've managed to stabilize some of the critical systems, but the core's near destruction. We can't stop the countdown. The endurance won't last much longer." Nathan's heart sank. They had won the fight, but at what cost? The station was dying, and their options were running out. "Is there any way to stop it?" Nathan asked, his voice tight with frustration. Harrow hesitated. "There's a chance, but it's a long shot. We could transfer the core's data to the escape pods, but the system is too damaged. We'll have to do it manually. And with the Xai'n coming, we don't have a choice." Nathan cut in. "Get to the escape pods. I'll cover you." He turned to Garza. "You're with me." Without waiting for a response, Nathan started toward the nearest pod bay, his rifle at the ready. The station's walls were buckling under the strain. Every corridor was a labyrinth of obstacles, the once pristine halls now filled with the stench of death and burning metal. Every step felt like a race against time. They reached the pod bay in record time, but as they entered, the unmistakable sound of alien reinforcements filled the air. They weren't finished. Not yet. "Prepare for combat!" Nathan shouted, as he and Garza took up positions, ready for the fight to come. They wouldn't stop fighting, not until the last human was safe. As the countdown continued in the background, the final twist of the war revealed itself. The Endurance wasn't just a symbol of humanity's last stand. It was the key to humanity's survival, or their final extinction. The choice was simple: escape with whatever they could carry or make the ultimate sacrifice for the future. Nathan knew that no matter what, this war had just begun. But for now, they had won. And that was enough.